Offensive talent in the NBA has never been as high as it is right now. The things that are asked of even the fourth or fifth guy in the lineup is so much more than what we saw even just a decade ago. Specialists used to be a staple for every single contending team, guys who were good at one particular skill that the squad lacked. If your team didn't have much shooting, you'd just simply add a player who could shoot the ball. If you lack defense, you'd go out and find a defender to give minutes, regardless of how bad they might be on the other side of the ball. Simply put, that just doesn't cut it anymore. Specifically, when the emphasis on three-point shooting in the NBA started to boom, rosters were getting filled with guys who could spot up and knock down open shots, even if they had no type of off-the-dribble game whatsoever. This is when the 3-and-D archetype became the league's hottest commodity. If you could knock down an open three, even just from the corner, and defend at a high level, you were getting paid a lot of money. But what happens with every jump in offense throughout NBA history is that defensive strategies and skill sets eventually catch up, and then offense has to counter again. In the case of stationary spot-up shooters, we saw defenses in the playoffs force them into dying at the three-point line. The most prominent example is probably the 2018 Rockets and their infamous 27 straight missed threes. Golden State knew that most of Houston's supporting cast wasn't comfortable putting the ball down on drives, so they made sure to close out with 100% aggression and just make the shot quality of those jumpers significantly worse. It's late in the shot clock, but even with 4 or 5 seconds, that's more than enough to make something happen, and Steph puts so much pressure on Ariza, with Draymond hugging Harden up top, that the middle of the floor is just wide open space. But because he doesn't have much of an on-ball game, he's instead forced to settle for a fall-away three-pointer. They'd have possessions where it was clear they needed to find any shot that wasn't a three, but just didn't have the talent to make it happen. Gerald Green looks to fake and put it on the deck, and instead of a paint touch, he just ends up with another off-balance jumper from the arc. Here's another example. Gordon kicks it to Ariza, who's gonna attack the closeout, and when he draws Klay to the paint, that leaves Gordon unattended on the perimeter. Klay follows the pass in a full sprint, closing out as hard as possible, and although it is a pretty decent shot, he could have used Klay's momentum against him to create a bigger advantage. The Mavericks ran into a real similar problem against Golden State in the 2022 Western Conference Finals. They have their own little twist on the Harden-style offense in the way they spread the floor for Luka to create, but you can see how comfortable Draymond is leaving Finney-Smith in the corner because he knows he can close out with full speed and not have to worry about getting blown by on a drive. It wasn't just Finney-Smith, but Reggie Bullock who ran into the same issues. Kevon Looney is one of the slowest-footed bigs in the game, and all of his momentum is going into the closeout. There's no reason this shouldn't lead to an automatic paint touch. Reggie instead dies by the three, and it's a horrible miss off the glass. Draymond was so comfortable over-helping in the paint and closing out hard because the extra drive wasn't a threat to be worried about, and that resulted in him actually blocking a couple of corner threes in the series. So what ends up happening is that these players who are capable shooters but can't do anything off the catch don't actually provide much spacing. As Luka uses a screen, you can see how far Klay roams over to sit in the driving lane, and that's because when the ball gets moved to Bullock, he's not going to use that space to create an advantage, instead just pulling the trigger immediately and hitting nothing but the air. Compare that play to when it's someone like Tyrese Maxey one pass away on the wing. Smart sits in the gap as Harden drives and kicks, and he exploits that open space by bursting into a drive, and the result is an opportunity to score at the rim. Here's another example, this time with Malcolm Brogdon. It's the same thing, with Tobias Harris sinking to the nail to help on a drive, which creates a long closeout, and instead of looking to quickly fire, he fakes and goes, getting to the painted area for a high percentage floater. I think Atlanta ran into similar problems in the 2022 first round against Miami, because the Heat are the staple of this sort of gapping zone style of defense. Gallinari is a lights-out shooter, but because he's limited off the dribble, Tucker's comfortable overplaying the ball and giving up that pass. Trey chooses to not even give up the ball on this one, and just like that, the offense is reset with no advantage to attack. As a result, over time we saw specialists just falling out of playoff rotations and struggling to get minutes regardless of how good they were at shooting the ball. I think the most prominent example would be Duncan Robinson, who played a pivotal role in their 2020 finals run because of ridiculous outside shooting. But as soon as those outlier-ish percentages started to dip even just a little bit, he found himself getting less and less minutes, eventually falling out of the lineup entirely. It wasn't until he proved that he had added more to his game off the catch that he found himself getting big minutes again. And as we all know, he ended up serving as an essential piece in their most recent run. Not solely because of the shooting, but how that opened up other avenues for him to attack, being decisive, generating paint touches, and creating for others at a significantly higher rate. For shooters, the threat is always going to be there just based on reputation alone, but because outside shooting has so much variability in performance and you can go cold at any moment, if there isn't more to your game, it becomes a lot harder to keep you on the floor without being a massive liability. When I say that, my mind immediately goes to Joe Harris in the 2021 Bucks series. When his shot stopped falling, he became a complete non-factor and virtually unplayable. Giannis is comfortable showing a more aggressive coverage to Harden on the ball because he knows that Harris isn't much of a threat to extend the advantage, and Brook Lopez has no problem at all cleaning up at the basket. Compare that to someone like Michael Porter Jr. in the NBA Finals. He shot 4 of 28 from 3 over the series and 1 of 6 in the closeout Game 5, but still found a way to make an impact. Like I said, for shooters, the threat is always there, so he's still gonna draw closeouts, but the difference is that he can actually put the ball on the deck and put pressure on the rim. In semi-transition, he spots up in the weak side corner, and when Jokic makes the pass, Max Strus is gonna hustle to close that space. But Porter uses that to create a driving lane, and just like that, he's walking into a dunk. When the shot is falling, and you have the off-the-catch capability to burn closeouts or extend advantages, that's when you start to see some explosive performances and high-value off-ball play from these supporting players. Remember Norman Powell's 42 points in Game 3 of the first round? It primarily stemmed from this exact concept. He established the outside threat in numerous ways, whether it was off the dribble, coming off of screens, or when just spotting up. And when the defense made an effort to take away those opportunities, he'd leverage that into offense elsewhere, destroying the closeout on a baseline drive and shedding help down low with some timely strides for a finish. Another great example, and who I personally think of as the poster child for this archetype, is Tyrese Maxey, who made a living in the playoffs through off-the-catch slashing. If you remember that first round series against Brooklyn, their defensive strategy was to send the entire state of New York at Joel Embiid, and once the ball is out of his hands, scramble to recover. But that type of scheme becomes nearly impossible to execute when it gets swung to a guy like Maxey, who can just cause a complete breakdown. He spotted up one pass away on the wing, and with 2 going to Embiid, that forces Finney Smith into a real long closeout. Maxey's burst makes that recovery just look like a traffic cone, and there's nobody else to stop him from getting all the way to the rim. He even had a few big games against Boston utilizing these same principles. With Rob Will as the low man, he's almost always going to overplay the rim and look to recover with his agility and length, but against an athlete like Tyrese Maxey, that just doesn't work. You compare that to pretty much the exact same possession, except with PJ Tucker in the place of Maxey. He knows the right play is to fake and drive, but instead of blowing by Williams into a dunk, he gallops his way into a blocked shot. And that's a big key here. It's not just putting the ball down and attacking with speed that matters, but knowing what to do off the catch and how to read different situations. Collins knows that the closeout is coming from his left hip, leaving the baseline wide open, and when he draws Bam to the ball, a dump off to Capella is wide open and should be a free 2 points at the rim, but he misses the read and the advantage leads to nothing. Keegan Murray has a pretty nice off the dribble game and knows how to attack a closeout, but his major weakness is that he really struggles getting all the way to the rim. So with Draymond running him off the line, instead of meeting him early, the rest of the defense sits back, knowing he'll pick up his dribble and try to score from a touch further. Blake Griffin was a complete and utter disaster in his brief time during the 2022 playoffs for this exact reason. With the entire defense focused on Durant, he recognizes that Grant Williams is forced to cover both him and Mills, and by faking the extra pass, he literally clears an airport-level runway to the basket. Does he drive? Nope, just tries the three and misses off the front of the rim. When opposing defenses make an effort to more aggressively play the lead creator or get the ball out of his hands, the ability to attack a scramble is a necessity. The Clippers trap Ingram, and as the low man, Westbrook has to slide down from the weak side corner to tag Larry Nance on a roll. So when Ingram skips it cross court, it's a lot of ground to cover, and Trey Murphy attacks with no rim protector in position to prevent him from scoring at the cup. It's not just about burst or athleticism gunning off the catch, but also knowing how to read closeouts and attack at different angles. And one of the reasons I'm so high on Trey Murphy is that he's one of the most decisive in that regard. It's his shooting threat from extended range that pulls Barnes to him as he receives a pass, and instead of just taking off, he's gonna fake the jumper, jab right, and create an open lane to his left, getting by Barnes and countering help down low by floating it over the top. Many people have coined this archetype of player as the splash and slash, guys who can shoot the lights out of the ball and punish aggressive paint defense, but also beat closeouts and capitalize on advantages by putting pressure on the rim. I already talked about guys like Norman Powell, Tyrese Maxey, and Trey Murphy who fit the mold, but some other names that immediately come to mind when I think of this type of player include Malcolm Brogdon, Josh Green, Quentin Grimes, and Malik Monk. Obviously there are others, but these are the guys who I'm mainly talking about, and this is just among supporting players. There are absolutely all-star caliber guys who'd fit this mold to a T, such as Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Zach LaVine, Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, among many others. It's almost become an essential piece to have, and a lot of championship level teams have found out the hard way that the 3-and-D movement has quickly shifted into looking for guys who can not only knock down threes, but also pressure the rim off the catch. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments some other players who you feel fit the description. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.